We'll give everybody a few more minutes to join, guys, and then we'll have a roll call, and then I'll turn it over to Baron. Then I'll turn it over to Tyler and Blake, and go through what they have there.
Yeah, I can't hear you on my computer, so I have to see you on my computer and listen to you on my phone.
Technology.
I'm in this beautiful cabin traveling, so
that looks good. That looks good.
The view outside the window is amazing.
Sweet.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, whoever that is.
Okay, that is me, Blake.
Oh, hey Blake. Sorry you didn't show. Oh, there you are.
Okay. Am I allowed to share my screen at all, or I guess
I should be able. Is
no.
Adam? Are you on here? He should be. You should try it and see.
I tried, but it's disabled.
Oh, okay. Hey, Adam, can you make him a panelist, I guess, or so he can share the screen?
Co-host.
Or host, yeah. However.
Yeah, if you make him a co-host.
There it is. Okay. All right, because me and Tyler were just drafting, like, this is just a rough draft of what we were attempting to go over today. Which
okay.
Obviously, there's not much, but I think we can definitely, as you all see fit, adjust our.
No, you're good, dude. So it's
yeah.
really your all's meeting, and I'm here to help as necessary. So you're good.
So we kind of realized last minute that none of us have actually done one of these.
Oh, okay. No, that's true. So I guess we didn't do last year. Yeah. So yeah, no, just who you are. Yeah. Anything in that? Let's see what else.
And I did just confirm with Mark that we are doing the eligibility meeting today. So in addition to discussing the vote on nationals, we can also make sure that everybody, because that I think is something that might be not controversial, but not entirely unanimous. So I think that will make up the bulk of the meeting. Taylor, if you could speak specifically on what the options are we are voting on this afternoon. There was nothing like officially determined.
In which capacity? On the eligibility?
Yes.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to find some notes here real quick, guys. Let me take a little bit.
Okay. I was looking at the meeting minutes, but it really was mostly, I believe, tabled until today.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like the last impression I got seemed like it was going to count towards it, but I know there was, happens. I mean, because I remember giving my personal thoughts through email saying that it should not count because it's not a full competition, but then I was also countered. So anyway,
I don't see it on the agenda this afternoon, guys. For you talking about the council meeting?
Yeah. If it is not, then we should add it because I don't think we determined anything. And March was the most recent one, correct? March 8th?
I think that's right.
Because I'm looking here. So Andrew put forth most of the issue, but then Coker prefers the committee should report back and have something to vote on by National SafeCon Council meeting. Eric Hess agrees that and can have a by nationals. Okay,
no, you're cool. I'll add it in here and edit it and send it to anybody. Eligibility for SafeCon competitors. Or eligibility, I'll word it correctly, wordsmith it correctly. For basically, does this SafeCon count toward your 4 or not? So
okay, then we'll put it forth in a general term and just see what the general consensus is.
Yep. Sounds good. All right, y'all ready to move forward then, guys? So it's been a few minutes. Everybody to jump over that was going to jump over.
All right.
Okay.
Blake, do you want to lead us off when we open it up, and then I'll come in with the introduction after you.
Off my phone while I'm thinking about it. Almost afternoon, everyone. My name is Blake Anthematin. I'm one of the two elected NYFA student representatives this past year. I just graduated Oklahoma State University through their flight program. And it's been an interesting year, and I'm excited to get your all's feedback as well as share some of our experiences this semester. Tyler, feel free.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Tyler Espoli. I've actually been your student rep for the past 2 years, although I haven't really gotten a chance to meet you all and your teammates. It was really an honor to be able to serve as the student rep, even if we weren't able to do much in person, but just to be a part of this organization. I actually graduated from Embry-Riddle Daytona last May, and I have been flight instructing at our school since then, but I have been involved with all of the NYFA council meetings. So hoping that I can impart a little bit of experience with Blake and the rest of you as we transition to the new student rep. But excited to just discuss this shortly with you and get your idea for a couple of things moving forward with the council meeting this afternoon.
Yeah, so obviously this, just going back over this past year, and just a little bit more about us too, is me and Tyler actually have never run a captain's meeting, and I think I've maybe attended one back in 2019 when it was our last nationals in Wisconsin. But you know, we're gonna definitely open up the floor to everyone in here at some point, but we just wanted to take this time and really go over the past year. And obviously it's, I think, a year that we will never forget. And even just as a newcomer in aviation, this has been really eye-opening. Feel free to comment, Tyler.
No, it's definitely been a different kind of challenge that I hope we all learn from. But that being said, I still want to make sure that we do have, even if it has been limited, this open communication here discussing some of the important things coming up with NYFA. So thank you guys who are in attendance for taking the time out of your day to join the captain's meeting, despite it being very different from what it really should be. It's really important that you guys are here listening to us and able to talk. So we're excited to have you. So like, if you want to lead us off with, we're basically going to discuss sort of what the last year has been like for the NYFA Council, the decision for the SafeCon 2021, as well as a upcoming vote this afternoon that I think is going to be very important for all of the teams.
Yeah, so just to lead off into there, I mean, me and Tyler have been in constant communication with the council simply through Google Gmail and Google Meets. We would have a council meeting about every month and a half or so to discuss COVID regulations going on in every state, the state of NYFA throughout, and just answering all the questions that the region representatives and the members at large would question. And there were some difficult answers sometimes, and we didn't realize until March into April of this year that we were going to, it was going to come down to a very close vote on whether to have nationals in person or virtual. So, I mean, there were meetings literally since, gosh, I mean, then the announcement of stopping SafeCon 2020, it's been that long of a process, and we've been doing our best to communicate virtually as best as we can within our personal obligations too. So,
in regards to the actual decision for the SafeCon competition to be canceled would be the correct word. I will let you all know that Blake and I were both for the competition. We both spoke on it in the meeting, although the entire vote came down to a decision of one. one person made the difference. The decision was made in the interest of the health of the organization moving forward. You all know with different COVID protocols in your schools, liability is a huge concern. And as a nonprofit organization that's run almost entirely based on volunteer help, much of the concern was in the event something does happen, regardless of the percentage chance that that might occur, it was a very huge risk for the organization to take. So I believe we came to a good decision, even if it wasn't one that I was particularly for at the point. And it was frustrating for everyone. It was not an easy vote. Nobody really expressed any positive sentiment about what was occurring, but it was a necessary one. Blake, if you don't have anything to add to that.
No, just in the fact that our job as student representatives is to be the middleman between the students, schools, and the NIFA Council, because I've learned a lot about this NIFA Council is they give a lot of time outside of their family and jobs to give to us and give back to collegiate aviation, which is really to see. So just know that, and that we've tried our best as students, even with our own academic lives and obligations. So that's it.
Yeah, so it was a very tough and well fought on both sides. But because there was no in-person SafeCon this year, something that the council will be discussing this afternoon, and what I think is probably the most important thing we can bring up at the moment is contestant eligibility. So this is going to be primarily open forum. Blake and I really want to hear your comments, questions, concerns. I mean, please speak up, because this is really our one chance to discuss with you a decision that's going to be made on the council. Essentially, what's happening at the council meeting this afternoon is whether or not this National SafeCon should count as a competition under the belt of a contestant. So argument on one side is would give teams that have people who competed an unfair advantage, as they have someone who can compete more often than before. And then argument on the other side is in the benefit of keeping a lot of our teams healthy. Adding that extra year of eligibility might allow for more time for leadership and competition experience to be passed to new members. So this is going to be very much open-ended. The actual wording of the vote is not written yet, so I don't have a specific motion to give you, but I do want to hear your opinions on how this might work. And I believe you guys all have access to both the chat and you can just raise your hand and speak up if you would like, but Blake and I really want to hear your thoughts on this.
So when you say that this year potentially wouldn't count, what exactly do you mean by that? I didn't quite understand what you were saying.
So typically, I believe it is, correct me if I'm wrong, 4 total competitions, 2 is a CFI, of eligibility. So if a student competes in 4 regionals, they are no longer eligible to compete in regionals. If they compete for nationals, they're no longer eligible to compete in nationals. In CFI, if you have your flight instructor rating, it's 2 competitions. The thinking is, though, even though this is an official competition, a lot of the experience and a lot of the really core part of what makes SafeCon was absent. So the vote is going to be whether or not that competing in this particular competition, there it is. This particular competition will prevent, say, a senior who was held back this year due to COVID from competing next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Blake.
Mm-hmm. No problem. Yeah, the NIFA Red Book should be available on the website. Has all the information on that question, which is a good one. I was easily confused coming into the position too, who qualifies to compete. So good question. Mm-hmm. I think I see Simon has his hand.
So are we discussing changing the eligibility requirements in terms of like the number of credit hours and enrollment criteria at all, or just changing that number of 4 and then 2 as a CFI?
So I think I just want to clear the air here. We are only discussing contestant eligibility as it comes to this, like these SafeCon competitions this year, because obviously we're not competing in every event. The question has come up whether those competing in the events this year, does that count against their 4 competitions for regionals and nationals, if that makes sense. I hope I cleared the air there.
Yeah, so if we had graduating seniors, would this affect their eligibility, or would they still not be eligible because they're graduating?
As it's currently written, again, there is no specific wording on this motion yet, but I believe the current vote would be you still have to be a student at your university. You would not be able to return as a graduate unless you are a graduate student. But that is something that I will bring up this afternoon, is credit eligibility.
Well, I just wanted clarification. I think we would like to keep it that way with the credit eligibility. Personally, for us, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, and guys, just to throw in, Blake, and if you've got that still pulled up, there is a rollover. Whereas if you graduate at Christmas, you can compete at the Spring National. You've got some time period in there to roll it forward as a current student. Correct me if I'm wrong in there, but there used to be some language in there where if you weren't on the regular cycle, you could compete. But like Blake said, really does this one count as one of your 4? Is the true question of what to bring up to the council, not changing any bylaws or any rules like that.
I mean, this is what I see, Taylor. I'm not sure where that would be mentioned because the following page is not much. So, yeah.
I don't really see any reason to not count it personally. I don't imagine that there's a whole lot of seniors that are being held back this year. Anyone else on a different team, if you have a different experience, please let me know. But at least for my team, we don't have anybody that would be affecting. If we were to decide not to count it, it wouldn't really matter much for my team.
All right, Chase, which school are you from? Sorry, bud.
Parks.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Yeah, I guess for the
Go ahead, Blake.
I was just saying, if we wanted to move on to the next hand, I'm ready. Which is Jordan from Utah State.
Yep. I was kind of going to echo that same point, making sure my mic is working. So if you look at kind of the advantages versus the disadvantages, they're worried about people having an unfair advantage, but there's only 2 real situations where somebody would actually use 5 competitions, and one is being held back, which is, honestly, I think that's kind of unlikely. I think flight school students tend to be more on the 4-year track than maybe some other people. I don't think that would be a very significant benefit to anybody. And on the second possibility would be like grad students. And that also seems very marginal because a lot of grad students don't go to their home school for graduate school, or they, I lost my train of thought on that. Well, most people don't go to grad school at all, especially with an aviation major. But so that's the 2 things. I think it's a very marginal thing to say that people are going to have an advantage. And on the second note, I think this year I competed in the 2019 SafeCon, and compared to the last year, it's night and day. I don't think it's a really fair comparison to do the online competition and the in-person competition. I mean, it's a totally different experience, and I think people should have a chance, if applicable, to do the experience rather than just a bunch of proctored exams.
So I'm writing the notes down here, Jordan. Your general train of thought here is it's unlikely that you'll get a lot of advantage out of it, but it is important to keep that option open for somebody who did not get the chance to go to nationals in person this year.
Yeah, basically. I think there's a very limited benefit to keeping people from competing, and there's more benefit out of people being able to compete again with the true experience of what SafeCon's supposed to be.
Okay. And your point on grad students and students being held back, I think is fair. I don't think there's a lot of NIFA competitors that are going to be held back in their undergrad degree. But I think it would be interesting to look at that same frame of reference for a CFI applicant.
That's true.
Because I do know some schools and some students will finish their CFI or might already have it after their first or second year of college, which this would then apply to. But again, I agree that that's probably not a huge percentage of competitors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all I had to say on that.
Well, thank you, Gordon. Anyone else? Okay.
Is there anybody that doesn't like the idea of extending eligibility? Because I believe currently Blake and I are going to push for it.
So yeah, I don't see an issue with it. I'm just still having a little bit of a hard time seeing where this is changing anything, especially with not having a SafeCon in 2020. Like most people are well within that 4 regionals and 4 nationals margin. I don't know of many people who are going to be bumping up against that on a standard 4-year track, obviously.
That's actually that's a very good point as well. I think that might, however, apply to the regional competition. Well, actually, no, that wasn't. Well, that would have been hosted both 2019 and 2020. So it might make an awkward transition for somebody who did do 4 regionals, but 3 or less nationals. Again, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a major issue. Embry-Riddle Daytona is against. Is there anyone that can speak to for what reason?
One more thing I'd like to say is the last year I was kind of thinking about doing grad school at my school, and it did come up in my mind that if I compete this year, then it's kind of not a great experience, and I'd rather not compete this year and wait, so I can do it one time in grad school. That was something that I actually considered. So maybe on that same line of thought, maybe it's unfair to do this to people after they've already competed, because they might not have competed if they were planning to do a grad school or something.
You're saying it would be unfair to implement this rule after the competition because there might have been people who did not compete for that reason?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody else want to put forward any comments or questions for the group?
I guess I'll go ahead and close that in forum. That was the big thing we wanted to talk about, but even like on this topic and much more, just even regarding the types of testing that would be even happening at nationals. A lot of it was up to the NIFA Council, and me and Tyler did our best to send emails, try to keep them updated, because even my team, Oklahoma State University, we were having issues with this one topic, and some things slipped through the cracks, and unfortunately, I think this was one of them. I wish it didn't, but best we can do is move on, and we'll have a decision today following a council meeting. So this will not slip through the cracks this time, but If I've learned anything this year, it's to absolutely be flexible. There's some awesome people on the council. Tyler can attest the same thing. But it was tough communication because Tyler, in your time, don't they usually meet in person? The entire council?
Yeah, it's typically in person in one singular location, and it's typically much easier to get stuff done because everybody is focused and dialed in for 2 days, as opposed to an email chain, which I'm sure you have all been a part of over the past year or so. Just how much more difficult as an organization it is to make a decision if there's that kind of lag time between communication.
Mm-hmm. And that's what also we want to converse with going forward with the rise of technology, like in our phones and email. We want to have some feedback and conversation with the schools to basically, what's a better way that we can communicate with you all? What's some improvements that we can make as a council to better serve you and basically make what we do fun. Not like it isn't already, but that would better serve and assist you all. So I'm free to open the floor, Tyler, if you are. I'll be ready to write some notes.
Blake will get the opportunity to actually participate in the in-person events over the next year. So if there's any general concerns about the entire organization or things that you might want to see represented, please let him and I know.
And if here's not good, I have an email. It's on the NYFA website. It's blake.anthematten. I know my last name is long, but that's what it is. It's on the website at nyfa.aero. So.
One thing I just noticed, I'm not sure if anyone's keeping an eye on the YouTube chats, but someone said that SafeCon could maintain online events while restricted from full competitions. It allows a larger capacity of students to compete. I'm not sure exactly what they are saying fully by that. I can't comprehend very well at the moment for some reason.
Let me pull up the YouTube.
Okay. Yeah. Tyler, if you don't mind looking into that, because I remember whenever we were first deciding, at least in our discussions, and Taylor, feel free to chime in on this. One of the pros of going virtual was opening up the competition to more students because of quite simply the financial and logistical challenges that are going to regional and national competition. So this was discussed in the council meeting minutes and is something to consider. Go ahead, Tyler, if you're ready.
So I don't know if Luke is able to continue chatting on YouTube, but to confirm here, the online events allows for more competitors because it's more accessible, as in it doesn't require travel expense, travel time, competitions. Is that correct? And I guess while we're waiting for him, we can discuss something else as well. But I believe that's what the sentiment here is. And Tommy Tutal, extension concession, December graduates. That is currently what the case is. If you graduate in December and have completed the regionals, you are still eligible for the nationals of that year. So you will not be restricted from competing the same year you graduate if you graduate early. Okay, thank you, Luke.
And just to chime in here a little bit, guys, the judges have been discussing having the ground test similar to what's being done here as a permanent fixture, done kind of like the way it was done pre-in-person SafeCon. That way those things could be done out of the way before you actually travel and be in person. That gives us a smaller footprint for time period to be at a site, maybe a day shorter, maybe 2 days shorter, costing teams less money if they were traveling to the in-person competitions. That's something to bring forward to the council meeting as a discussion point.
And Luke, looking at your next comment, the school, because Embry-Riddle is, NIFA has schools divided into campuses. So on a technicality, Embry-Riddle Worldwide would require its own, I believe Taylor could probably speak to this better than I can, but would require its own Embry-Riddle Worldwide team.
We've discussed that before, and that's also been discussed for Liberty's multiple flight schools across the country. That would have to be a separate team per entity, even though they're under one, kind of like you are Prescott and Daytona. And there's been discussion on how if Worldwide wanted to field a team, how that would have to be left. You could do a ground school would not be hard at all because everybody's around, but how would you field a flight team in that capacity? But it could be something to look into.
Okay. This is really all we had for an idea for the meeting. If anybody has any open comments or questions that they would like for the council, Blake and I can present them this afternoon. And one of us will be able to communicate that answer back to you. But if there is none, I just want to congratulate everybody on pushing forward this year and still managing to compete in really an awkwardly difficult year. But this organization is a pretty phenomenal one. So all of you participating and being willing to compete does a lot for this organization, and being both on the competing side and on the board side, it's really something that I hope you all continue to be a part of, both in your college career and beyond. But that's it from me. Blake, unless you have anything to add.
A lot of the same things. Like I said before, and I keep saying, it's been an unprecedented year, and I personally think that we're going to be better for it. I think we're going to be better people, and hopefully better pilots too. And we're building our skill through competition. And like Tyler said, it's been an honor to be on this side, working with the NIFA Council, and I've really enjoyed my time, and I'm looking forward to representing you all for the next year. Once again, my email is on the NIFA website, so please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions or concerns, and I will make sure that your voice is heard on the council. Thank you.
All right, guys, if there's not any other comments, then we'll close everything out there. Just one more time for anybody. Excellent. Look forward to seeing everybody this evening, and y'all have a good afternoon. Thank y'all. Council meeting's at 2:00. So anybody else want to be there? See you guys. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, everyone.